Welcome to the Pin Leader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The Pin Leader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pin Leader Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about having a pinpoint moment, and that happens to surround a case of circumstantial planning. I am so excited to be able to bring this to you because it's one of those items that relatively discussed a lot among organizations. When do you have a plan? How does the plan look? And what does it mean when you don't have a plan? So today, I'm going to explore a specific pinpoint in my best-selling book, The Pin Leader Path. It is actually, I'm going to quote the book, "Those on the Pin Leader Path do not attempt to control a circumstance that they did not create. They make sure to look at all angles to produce the best case scenario and a win-win for the organization, their team, and themselves, and specifically in that order." So many times, strategic planning comes in the form of a necessity when a circumstance occurs. Well, what does the plan say on handling the circumstance? What have we done to prepare for the circumstance? What are our competitors doing to manage the same circumstance that we're faced with? And then what are the best practices in managing the circumstance? Or better yet, what does an organization look like after the circumstances have occurred? In other words, what does it all look like on the other side of whatever challenge or whatever that circumstance would be? So let's center this circumstance in two buckets of response: reactive avoidance versus a resilient adaptation. On the individual level, we've all been there at some point. Should I react to the circumstance or just wait and see what happens? Staying calm, learn as quickly as you can, ask questions, and don't lose sight of your goal should be a priority. Waiting to see does work for some, but only if you have enough time to do it, because at some point, decisions are going to be made for you. How does this translate to engagement and involvement, which is a great culture foundation? In the McKinsey Health Institute survey of 30,000 global employees, those that scored high on resilience and adaptability were 3 times more likely to report high work engagement and almost 4 times more likely to report increased innovative behavior. So really think about that, especially on the individual level, how you can make an impact and make a more resilient culture. For the organization, it may be even more of a challenging to wait and see. And again, sometimes that works for some, but not always for everyone. The best you can do is to plan as best as you can for the scenarios of that circumstance and know that those within the organization culture may not always agree with you. The organization that has roles clearly delineated has contingency plans, scorecards, psychological safety practices, crisis response, and has leadership alignment are those that are on top. The proof is always and is in the statistics. As McKinsey found out, those organizations with all these traits are 6 times more likely than their peers to report high engagement or innovative behavior. The question is, what is your organizational goal? Is the leader making decisions to be like everybody else or to be liked by everyone? Is that what is outweighing and is the sacrifice of the best decision for the organization? So you have to be mindful and to be on the lookout for that. I talk about being as sharp as you can, which means learning and reading as much as you can on and around that specific circumstance, whatever that is. Then, with strength, making the call. This means that you have enough trust within the organization to have others follow you. The straightforwardness to share the plan, acknowledging the circumstance, will also help build that trust. Don't fall prey to reactive avoidance and embrace resilient adaptation, which is the successful pivot which I talk about in my book. So for those who do not have a strategic plan, take the time to sit down and put one together. Sure, you can use AI to jumpstart, but do not rely on it for all your answers. This is where some fall prey to thinking that someone else can write their plan for them. You have to be engaged in the strategic planning process. Do a board retreat. And if you don't have a board, bring your employees together to do the retreat. Conduct a planning day. Get the feedback from not only your team members, but from your clients. That means you might need to survey them, maybe reach out, do some interviews with some key questions, and from the survey, pull out and make sure that you have information that might be able to go further in depth with the understanding that you're going to do focus groups, perhaps, to explore. If you don't have time for all of that and say you're behind the eight ball, it's important to at least acknowledge that you need to do some level of planning to give guidance to the team. Everyone wants to know what direction you're rowing. You don't want to be in a circumstantial, let's just play it by ear all the time. And the team feels more confident and trustworthy in your decision making when you act and know where you're going. Address the circumstance and make sure that it is part of the planning, even if you have to go down into role playing. So, thank you for this pinpoint moment and taking the time to listen to the show, catching it and liking it. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors. Thank you to our sponsor, Mavalino Custom Home Builders, where they build custom homes with superior quality, value, and integrity. And also to the Maine Intelligence Network. Come be part of a focused network of entrepreneurs, leaders, executives, and authors committed to sharpening leadership and strategy while scaling ventures with intention. This is the place where practical thinking meets high caliber connection. Check out the Maine at www.maesassociatesltd.com and select Maine on the homepage to learn more and to sign up for how you can get connected. And of course, until next time.
The Pen Leader podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Mays & Associates Ltd., creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pen Leader podcast and share with others.